Hi everyone, it's Lynn here from Style Me Confidence, and welcome to my show, Would You Date Yourself? Today I have a super exciting guest that I can't wait to jump right in. Her name is Amelia Fortes. Amelia Fortes is an intuitive energy healer, inspirational speaker, and self-love coach. She specializes in helping people transform their dating madness into romantic magic, find the ideal career direction, and up-level their money and abundance. She is the former Wall Street financial analyst who traded in her fancy office and masculine power suits for the sweet life of a feminine genius. She founded the company Self-Love Story to help teach women the art of being blissfully feminine to achieve their deepest desires. Her greatest passion is showing how to love yourself at a deeper level and make self-care a priority. And she is here to help us do just that. Hi, Amelia.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. And I love the topic of this summit, and I know you have an amazing lineup of people, so I'm just really happy to be included.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. So let's jump right in and tell us about your story and how you got to what you do today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you all heard from the bio, my company is called Self-Love Story, and that's everything that I do, everything that I teach, every piece of content I put out there, every group program I do, every private program I do is all around self-love and loving yourself at a deeper level, because I believe that self-love is that absolutely like must have necessary ingredient in order to truly manifest what you desire in career, relationships, and in money. And you know, I do know that you can manifest those things without self-love, but it's not going to be so great. Like you see like the rich wealthy people who are actually really unhappy, or the people who are married who are constantly fighting, right? And so I feel that self-love is that ingredient that you must have to really create that fulfilling, satisfying feeling, like that contentment. And my story is really leads all up to that, right? So I've had, and the reason why I cover those three categories of like career and business, money, and dating and relationships is because I've had significant woundings and significant low self-worth in all of those areas. And so my story kind of ties in with all of that. So I'm Filipino American, and so I grew up with immigrant parents. And so anyone that has had immigrant parents growing up in the United States, there's that work ethic, that drive, and like our parents worked really hard to like get to America and to give their children a better life, right? And so, and at the same time, if any of you know, like Filipino parents, they're very strict and they really want you to have like perfect grades, and they really want you to like do amazing in school and get this, cookie cutter job, like, be a doctor or a nurse or like a government worker, and then like work there for like 40-50 years until you retire with a good pension plan. So there's like very strict ideas of what my parents and my family believe, and like my culture believed that I needed to be and do in order to be successful, not only in career, but also like in money and in relationships, right? Like they have, like my parents and my culture, like they don't hold back in their opinions on how you're supposed to live your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm a very like artsy
Mm-hmm.
performer, entertainer. I'm very creative and artistic, and like the medical field, the government field, the financial field just does not fit my personality.
Mm-hmm.
And also like the kind of people that they wanted me to date, like, marry a rich, wealthy white guy, it didn't fit my personality and it didn't fit who I was. However, I still did it. So I got a degree from NYU in computer engineering, and I worked on Wall Street for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So I followed what I was told is supposed to make me happy. And I did that. And on paper, I was super successful, right? So I made really good money. I mean, I was working on Wall Street. I made excellent money. I had the suits and I had the nice shoes and I had the rich friends. And at the same time, while I was doing all of that too, I got into this relationship with a guy that was like super tall and handsome and like agreeable to my family. Like he looked like Ben Affleck, who was
Mhm.
hot at that time, you know, but he was also like really abusive to me. So I'm in this abusive relationship, yet on the surface it looks good because he's like this tall, handsome man. And so everyone is like, wow, what an amazing relationship. Meanwhile, like I'm hiding the fact that he's being mean to me. Like well, first it was like verbal and emotional abuse, and eventually it got physical.
Mm.
So, and then I'm in this job where everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so impressive. And I also got promoted really fast. So, you know, everyone's just basically telling me, you have the best life ever. But like on the inside, I, I didn't. Like I would be going to sleep at night, like afraid of my boyfriend. And then I'd be waking up in the morning, not wanting to go to work, not feeling passionate, not feeling purposeful.
Mhm.
And so they were dark times, you know, they were really, really dark times, and very confusing, right? Because the whole world out there is like looking at me and thinking, you have it all, you have this amazing life. So it was almost like this dirty secret that I had of like, I'm actually really unhappy and
Mhm.
I'm actually not living my best life, you know, while on the outside, I'm like trying to pretend that I am because everyone expects that I am.
Mhm.
And so through that, like around like that time frame where I was dating this guy and I was working on Wall Street, I remember I was like at my cubicle one day. And I don't know if it was one day, but this is how I remember it. It was like one day, you know, I was at my cubicle and I was like doing some spreadsheet or some PowerPoint, as you do when you work on Wall Street. It's all about spreadsheets,
Mhm.
PowerPoints, analysis, and presentations, right? And I was just like struggling through some spreadsheet trying to make these numbers work or these formulas work. And so, you know, when you're at the computer, like, you know,
Yeah.
I was like really tense. And then there was something inside of me that was like, what the heck am I doing? And so I kind of like pushed the keyboard aside for a second. I just was like, and I was in a cubicle at the time. So I'm like looking around at all the offices and I just was like, is this really my life until, and I was in my 20s at the time. So I'm like, is this really my life until I'm like 65 or 70?
Mhm.
So like I'm in my 20s, and like to a 20-year-old, that age is super old. And it's like, so this is my life for the next 50 years? Like what the heck? You know, there's got to be a better way. Like there's got to be people out there who are happy, who are
Mhm.
feeling passionate and creative in their work. I certainly was not. And people who are living in these happy, wonderful relationships, which I had no idea what that was like because I was currently swirling in an abusive one. But I had like something within me, like an intuition maybe knew. I was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to have healthy relationships, which I currently don't know how to do. And there's got to be a way to be really passionate and creative in my career and love my career, which I don't know how to do. There's got to be a way to have this whole amazing life, which I currently don't know how to do, but there's got to be a way. But that started my journey of reading books and personal development and doing workshops and listening to podcasts and reading blogs. And like I got my hands on whatever I could. And I also, which is kind of what you're doing on this summit, I also was like sought out people who had what I wanted, who had great relationships, who were in long-term happy relationships, who seemed passionate and creative in their work and successful financially, right? So I sought those people out, and I would, you know, take them to lunch or take them to dinner or grab a coffee, or, you know, just get on the phone and just be like, what's your life like and how did you get there, right? So that started my journey. So I want to say too, if you're watching this summit, definitely like take all the notes from all these amazing speakers and learn whatever you can, because essentially we are showing that there is another way, there is another possibility, and like learn from the people who you're like, actually I kind of want what you want. So that started my journey and ultimately led me to realize like the foundational lesson that I learned through all of this is self-love. The
Mhm.
more I learned how to love myself, the more I learned how to take care of myself and set healthy boundaries and heal
Mhm.
and deal with my crap, you know, the more I was able to create money, love, and a career that I felt amazing about. and that I feel amazing about. And it's definitely a journey. It's definitely a work in progress, but like that to me is the core. And that's how I got to this place of self-love story, right? And, you know, Hollywood and out there, everyone's like, oh, love stories, love stories. So I was like, okay, love stories are great. I mean, I love love. I'm a rom-com fan, right? But like, what about your self-love story? You know, what if you were the heroine of your own story? What if you saw yourself as the hero of this amazing myth that is your life? You know, and that's kind of how I came up with like self-love story, where it's like, what's your self-love story? What story will you be telling on the other side of success?
Mm,
So yeah, that's how I got here.
yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh, it's been such a journey for you, I bet. And
Oh
there's so
gosh,
much
yes.
good things that you've learned, and I'm curious in, you know, so many ways. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to tell that story because it's so inspiring, you know. I definitely feel related to definitely feel relating to what you were saying because coming from an immigrant family as well, like, you know, there's so much guilt in there for you to want to be able to please your family, and you know, you just feel like you have to keep up this like front that everything is good, everything is happy, and it's so fearful to just, you know, say I don't want any of this and I want something else for my life. um so my
I just
question.
Well, I just want to say to that because I'm grateful for my family, and I want to just make the distinction that because the reason why we don't want to like speak out against it is because we don't want to seem like ungrateful or like we don't love our family or like we don't appreciate it. Like believe me, I won't ever know what it's like to immigrate from a third world country like the Philippines to America. So I am not in any way like poo-pooing on what my parents had to do. And at the same time, it's like, well, aren't these desires that I have that I can lead to fruition one of the reasons why they wanted a better life for us, right? So it's about finding that balance of like, just because you want something different doesn't mean that you're not grateful for your family.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
both.
It
Yeah.
can be both. Yeah. Yeah. That's the mindset you want to get to instead of like it's either or. My question for you, I read a little bit of your, you know, your life story, and that's why, you know, I like resonated with you so much and I reached out to you. And I know that you have dealt with insecurities before in your life about your body and about your, you know, appearances. And especially, I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, I felt very different from when I first moved here. Just so you know my background, I wasn't born here. I moved here when I was 16, and then when I moved here, I looked very different from the, you know, from and being raised by my mom who also has her own issues, which, you know, I totally have so much compassion for her. And for her, it's like she never saw herself as beautiful, and I guess I picked that up from her as well, and I never saw myself as pretty enough. So my question for you is coming from your own experience, how did you get out of it, and
Yeah.
how did you learn to, you know, appreciate how you look like just for who you are, and, you know, learn to love just, you know, your body and your image.
Yeah, it's such a good question. And the thing I want to say to that is, you know, representation matters, and I think that's something that's been like a hot topic especially lately with,
Mhm.
you know, movies like Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians, and then Netflix series like To All the Boys I Loved Before and Never Have I Ever, and, you know, producers like Ava DuVernay and Mindy Kaling, and, you know, actresses like Constance Wu, you know, just people um, who are passionate about getting other people who look like other people, like more representation in the camera, right? And there's actually a term that I learned about it where it's I think it's called social annihilation. So like when children or people don't see themselves represented in the media, it it creates a subconscious thinking that they're not important. And it's like, you know, it's, if you're a child, you're not like thinking, oh, I don't see other Filipinos on TV, so that means I'm not important. It's just, if all the images you're inundated are like one kind of person and they look nothing like you, the natural thinking is that I must not be important, I must not be beautiful, I must not be good enough, and a whole array of things, right? And
Mhm.
so absolutely that, like, so I was a kid in the 90s, kid and tween in the 90s. And in the 90s, if you look at the movies that were out there, the hot girl was, you know, tall, skinny, like very skinny, lanky, very light white snow skin, thin nose, like Eurocentric features, huge boobs, tiny, tiny, tiny waist, and just like very, you know, and like for me, I'm Filipino. I've always been like kind of curvy. I don't have big boobs. I didn't, and I still don't have big boobs, you know, and I had bigger hips that, you know, and so what I didn't realize at the time, but now as an adult looking back, I'm like, no wonder I thought I was ugly, because all the people who are being glorified on TV and in the movies look nothing like me. And I didn't see anyone that looks anything like me. And not just from looks, but also like culturally, or like where, you know, what, yeah, just their culture and just how they live life. And I also went to predominantly white schools growing up, and I was so embarrassed to like bring my Filipino leftover food for lunch. I would just be like, can't I just be like cool and have like Lunchables or something? And so that's kind of my background with that too. And I know that that's why I never really saw myself as beautiful, right? But back to the original point of representation matters. Well, one, I'm really glad to see that we're making huge strides in terms of representation.
Mhm.
Also, it's one of my biggest drives for why I want to keep going, because there's not a lot of like Filipino women that are at the forefront in terms of like the spirituality, healing,
Yep.
coaching world. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, I need to at least be that one person. So I'm like never gonna quit, because, and actually I've been getting messages lately from people that are like, I'm so happy to see like a Filipino woman doing this type of work, because I feel so weird with my family because they just like want me to be a nurse, you know. So representation matters, but Hollywood may take a little longer than we need them to. So what I say is, you create the representation in your life, right? So for me, a lot of healing happened when I went to high school, because elementary and middle school were predominantly Caucasian. But when I went to high school, there was a huge Filipino American community there, and it was so much more diverse than my elementary school and middle school. And that in itself was so healing, to see so many. I mean, I went to an elementary school where the kids were like, what's Filipino? So it's like, can you imagine for like a 7-year-old, like that's like traumatizing almost. Like, what do you
Mhm.
mean what's Filipino? Like,
Yeah.
don't know what it is. Maybe it doesn't matter.
Mm.
But then to go to high school and then college, and like people know what Filipino is. And there's this whole group of people who literally look like my cousins, you know,
Mhm.
and they're talking about Filipino food, and they're laughing about the things that their Filipino parents are doing at home. And it's like feeling seen, right? And so creating the representation in your own life, and in terms of body image, when I joined like women's groups who celebrated women's sexuality and women's bodies, you know, I have a very strong sensual movement practice where I move and I dance to music and I get into my body. And I joined a community in LA when I lived there, that was focused on that. And so we would have these safe spaces, and women of all body types, body shapes, sizes, heights, lengths, widths, colors, abilities, we all would like be together and celebrate each other's bodies, right? And so that's what I mean by create the representation in your life, and don't wait for Hollywood to do it. I mean, Hollywood is inching forward slowly, 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 but don't wait for them to do it. Find those spaces. I also remember when I joined a community of Filipino healers, and I met this one woman. She's an amazing Filipino healer. She makes her own like oils and herbs and stuff like that. And she has a whole community. And I was like, oh my gosh, like all these like Filipino and Filipino American healers, astrologers, you know, all of that. And so now my feed is filled with all of that, right? So that's what I mean, like consciously create your own representation. Like don't wait for Hollywood to do it.
Mhm.
And surround yourself with the people that will make you feel
Mhm.
good about yourself, because they also feel good about themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that you said surround yourself with the people who make you feel good about yourself. Because when you already had low self-esteem, you just think that you're not good enough, so you try to chase people to make them love you. And the more you chase, it's just the more it makes you feel like you're not enough. you know? So it's like now realizing that and being aware, and then just seek out the people who appreciate your presence and your values and what you have to offer. It's really powerful, because now you, just by seeing other people and how they appreciate you, you start appreciating, the things that just about you. So I love that so much. And I love the fact that, yeah, I love the fact from your story that you share is that, create, again, like you said, creating your own representation, and you're just, that you said that, Amelia, you said that you'll never quit. It's because you wanted to create that representation, and you also like boldly live in that space where there's no one like you yet, but yet you keep going with it. And that's so powerful. And I want to talk about that, so that people appreciate it and follow your footstep. Is that, like, even if you're alone and you're the only person, it's like you still got to show up, because you know you're going to be representing so many other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
love that. Oh my gosh. So I know that you have mentioned, we have talked about this on the phone, and the idea that I love, which is your ability to receive or make money, relates to your ability to receive love. Did I say that right? Right. Your
Yeah.
ability to receive love. Money relates to your ability to receive love. So let's talk more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you want to talk about money as it relates to self-love and like, like I was thinking, because the title of this summit is like, would you date yourself? And so
Mhm,
like with money, it's like, well, would you pay yourself?
mhm,
So they're related. And so just to first answer the foundational question there is love, money, energy, right? Money is energy. Money is energy that in our society we exchange, right?
mhm,
So you do some work, so meaning you exert some energy and then you receive some money, so then you receive some energy that you can now exchange for other energy. You can pay someone to clean your house, you can um, pay for an Uber to get you somewhere, or your Metro card, or your subway card to get you on the subway, to buy a car, to buy a house, to pay for your electricity, right? Receipt. So it's energy. And it's the same with love, right? So this summit is about relationships and like, would you date yourself and self-love, right? So it's like when I work with like my single clients about dating, it's like, okay, tell me the things that you want your boyfriend to do for you, your future partner, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, right? Tell me all the things that you wish they would do for you. And one of the things I'll always remember, because one of my clients, she was like, I want them to adore me and I want them to shower me with compliments. And I like, because words of affirmation is one of her love languages. And she was like, I want them to just love on me. And then one of the first exercises we did was, well, let's look at your self-talk. How positive or negative is it? And
mhm,
she realized, she was like, oh my gosh, my self-talk is like 80% negative. And so
mhm,
it's like, I want this partner to come in and shower me with compliments, but I'm showering myself with negativity. And I
mhm,
was like, exactly. So it's energy like that. So flipping that to money, right? One of the things that was like a game changer for me to think about is like, okay, like whatever your income goal is, let's say you want a job that makes $80,000 a year or $100,000 a year or $1 million a year, whatever your goal is, or how much money do you want to be making in a month? I want my paychecks to add up to $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. Wherever you're at, I'm sure your audience is at different levels. So first I want to say, wherever you're at, don't shame it. Just get to the next level, right? So
mhm,
if your goal is like, okay, 3,000, have it be 3,000. If your goal is 100,000, have it be that. But now flip it and think, okay, if you were giving someone $10,000 a month to do work for you, or if you were paying someone $100,000 to do something, if that, like, I want a six-figure salary, right? A lot of people say, okay, so now think you're paying someone $100,000. How would you expect them to show up?
mhm, mhm,
How would you expect them to feel about themselves?
mhm,
What level of confidence would you expect them to have in the work that they're going to do for you?
mhm,
Right? It's like think about those things
mhm,
and then ask yourself, are you showing up like that? Do you have that amount of confidence in yourself? Do you believe in your work? Do you have the passion that you would expect that other person to have? You know, and I think we don't often flip it and think about that, because especially with money, we're just like, I just want to make more money, or I just want to raise, I just want $10,000 more dollars in my salary, or I just want that $20,000 bonus at the end of the year. And like, we're just thinking from that perspective, and it's like, I should get it. And it's like, okay, well, imagine it's your money now and you're paying someone else. How would you expect them to show up in order for you to feel like they deserve that money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
So
powerful.
so that's kind of where it's like, energy, the amount we can receive is related to the amount of love we can receive. Because to me, income is self-worth. How much money you receive coming in is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself.
Wow, that's crazy. That it's really crazy. And when you ask yourself that question, it starts showing up, like, ourselves, the spots and the spaces that we're not showing up the way that we need to. Like the way that we talk about ourselves, the way that we believe in ourselves, the confidence that we don't have. And it almost like sucks to like start realizing that, it's just like a knife, like just like twist it in you. Like, yeah, you're like, oh gosh, like it's so true. I'm not showing up that way. And so I guess my next question is, once you start asking yourself that question, you realize that you're not showing up. Like, what is the work that you need to do in order to start showing up in that way?
Yeah. Well, definitely the first thing I want to say to that is like, don't underestimate the awareness of it, right? Because once you have the awareness of it, and even though, yeah, it feels like that knife moment, and trust me, when I thought about that for myself, I was like, ooh, yeah. So it happens to the best of us, right? Yeah. So don't underestimate that moment. Like, having the awareness is already huge. And then it's really just about practicing, like moving the needle forward and like asking yourself these questions. Like, the other thing that comes to mind is like this concept of like going to the hair salon or getting a haircut, right? Are you gonna go to the salon where the person's like, yeah, $5, I'll give you a haircut?
No way.
Or the salon where it's like $150 and they give you a mimosa when you're coming to the salon, like, it's, or the person that's like, oh, $20, I'll do it. And you're just like, I don't.
You're like, I don't trust you.
Or like, right. Or what if someone's like, well, I mean, I can do haircuts. Like, no, you want to be like, oh girl, I'm going to slay your hair. Like, you want someone that's confident, that's like, I know what I'm doing. Right. And so building up that confidence little by little. And one thing that really works is like, list your accomplishments, in the area of life or in all areas, right? But if we're talking about career, like, list your accomplishments, list what you've created, and like look at it and like really receive it though. And the thing that I want to say to that is, cultivate a practice of celebrating your wins regularly, right? Even daily. So at the end of the day, I have a practice of being like, like, I look at like my calendar, and then I look at like the emails that I've done. And like right now, I'm like, I have like my notebooks and stuff right here. That's why I keep looking over here. Like, I look through my notebooks and I look through my notes, and I'm just like, I just take a moment to be like, I killed that. Like, I got a lot done today. Like, I'm really good at this, or even if I, because a lot of my work is I create a lot of content, right? And I create a lot of social media posts and stuff like that. And, I'll come up with something and I'll post it. And even before I get any likes or any comments back, like, I'll be like, that's a really good post. Like, I'll like, that's amazing, and as corny as it seems, I'll give you the scientific incentive for it. So it might seem corny to be like, woohoo, like in your office or at work or whatever, but the brain has a reward center
Mm.
So when you celebrate, when you feel good, when you're like, woohoo, that moment that you're like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
or you go girl, or I killed that. Like when you're doing this motion, it actually sends a message to like the reward center in your brain. I'm not a neuroscientist, so I'm not going to know the technical terms, but it does send these electrical signals to that reward center. And the reward center is like, ooh, what is it that just happened that created this signal?
Mm-hmm.
And give me more of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you worked out after like a huge thing of resistance and you finally did your 20-minute butt squat workout or whatever. I want you after that workout to be like, yes, I did it. I was resistant and I did it, or, when you eat a good meal or when you cook a good meal, it's like, I killed that meal. Like, oh, the spices are on point, like celebrate literally everything, because it will create that reward, those signals in that reward center, and it will train your subconscious mind. So a lot of the work I do is with the subconscious mind. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, an energy healer, NLP, EFT. Like I have a lot of these certifications. So I've studied this stuff, right? Your subconscious mind is going to be like, give me more of that. And then more naturally, confidence is going to be your norm, because you got it. Right now you have a muscle that is really strong in like the negativity and the beating yourself up, let's say. So you just got to stop working out that muscle and work out the confidence muscle. And if you do the celebration, and what I tell my clients is it has to be something physical, and especially if you can, like I know if you're in an office, you might not be able to be like, woohoo, but if you can, make it something audible, because when it's a physical thing in your body and something that a sound your voice makes, it makes that signal to the reward center even stronger. So what I tell clients is like, okay, if you're alone or if you're in a space where you can make noise, like literally be like, woohoo, like just like go crazy, And some
Yeah.
of my clients, I'll be like, do a little twerk if you want, like whatever. Like see how you just like laugh. It has to be something that makes you laugh and that brings lightness, right? And if it fits your personality, right? Like if you're not a twerker, then don't twerk. But if you're at work and in a, professional environment, and you can't just be like, ooh, I say like, even if it's like under the table, like, and you're like, yes, like, even if you're just like, yes, or just think about it like under the table, or like in your head, you can envision yourself being like, woo, that still works. Or hey, look, if you got to go to the supply closet at work and be like, let's do it. Right?
Yeah.
It's the physical, it changes your physical state, and it sends like a physical and audible signal to your brain. Like that's the science behind it. I tell people, they're like, that seems corny, that seems weird, and I'm like, look, literally do it. Because, and I even, when I first heard about this, I was like, I'm not gonna do that, that's weird.
Yeah.
But it really helps, like even when I'm alone working late night at my computer, and when I'm starting to feel that stress kind of weigh me down, I'm like, oh, I haven't celebrated in a few hours. Like I've been at this. I'll just get up
Like,
and I'll be
woohoo!
like, woo, like you go, girl. Yeah, like one of my favorites for a while was "You Go, Girl," and like the whole like wink and the gun thing, because it's like it's corny enough that it makes me laugh, right?
Yeah.
Like you see how like it's making us both kind of laugh, and it's
Yeah.
creating like innocent, playful energy. That's what you're going for. So whatever you're doing, whether it's woohoo or whatever, you're going for something that makes you like giggle a little. It creates that pathway in your brain that's
Yeah.
like, okay, yes, more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I would say to start doing to get you on the right track and exercise the confidence muscle.
I love that. And it is a muscle that you have to exercise. People think that, it's impossible to change a brain, but, like it is possible, but you do have to work it out, just like when you're in the gym. And the thing about working out your muscle is that when you first work out, it's like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be like frustrating, and you're going to want to like, return back to your old patterns, and knowing the fact that you are going to want that and you are going to fall back, but you keep going, so that you don't shame yourself or guilt yourself when you fall back. I think that's really important as well. So
And just like with working out, you'll be sore the first week.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like
Yeah.
working out.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that stories and the wisdom you just shared by now. I'm gonna go and start woohoo myself after this interview. How
Yeah,
are you?
totally.
Yeah. I
And
thought
by the way, those of you watching, I mean, Lynn is doing so much work to create this for you. So I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, definitely woohoo your way through this whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. After you finish watching this video, take the time to woohoo yourself because now you take the time to do this. So do that.
We need
um,
woohoo in our
so
life.
exactly. So yeah, this is I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here because I have a question. So
Yeah.
for me, I've grown up in a family where I don't see myself, or nobody has ever really shown to me that it's possible to make the amount of money that I want to make doing this kind of work. Like it's either a doctor or a nurse, like how your parents wanted
Did
you
we have
to.
the same parents? Or do we-
Maybe. I'll send you photos and you let me know. That's actually really funny. So yeah, like I never really had that um I guess representation again, right? To show me that it's possible. So in my mind, I'm ingrained with that belief that I can't, or that it's impossible. Like even like that it's not possible for me to get there. So how do I get out of that mindset of, just that, I guess that barrier, or, that glass ceiling that I put on myself.
Yeah, well, I think the, it goes back to what we've already talked about, right? Like creating the representation in your life. So number one, the fact like you doing this summit is creating representation in your life, right? And finding a mastermind or a group of people in your line of work who are even just a little bit above where you want to be or beyond where you want to be, right? And I really want to pause on that one because that one is so important, because definitely like for me when I was first starting out as an entrepreneur, and it was like, they always say join networking groups, join a group, join a group, join a group. And so like I was like doing all this networking and joining all these groups and like not really feeling empowered. And hindsight is 2020. So looking back, I realized I was just trying to join like any group, and it's like, no, like take the time to like find the group of people or the community of people that not only are like above where you want to be, but also resonate with you, right? Because I definitely joined like entrepreneur groups and group programs with people that were making, 5-6 figure months, and $10,000, $100,000 a month. But I didn't really resonate with their vibe or their energy or what they were about or their culture, or, you know what I mean? So you got to kind of find that and create that representation in your own life. But to your point, I also recognize the very realness, and I even said it earlier, of like, well, there aren't a lot of groups yet, right? So in a way, we're kind of like pioneers in that, right? And so the biggest thing, and it's going to sound so simple, you just have to decide. You just have to decide. And I know that sounds really simple and kind of like whatever, maybe. But if you look at the etymology of the word decide, and again, I'm not a linguist, but I do know that decide, like it's made up of words that mean to literally cut off all other options, right? And even for me, like, because right now I'm ready for like the next level of my income growth, and I'm dealing with the same stuff. So let me back up a bit and say, anytime you're ready to level up, you are going to come across your lack of self-confidence, your lack of self-worth, your limiting beliefs. It's going to happen. Anytime you're ready to level up, all the same crap is going to come up for you. I don't believe in myself. Oh my gosh, I think I'm ugly. I hate my body. Like all of that stuff is going to come up. So number one, be ready for it. It's normal, but that's why you have to surround yourself with people who get it and who'll be like, this is normal. Just keep going. Right? Because if you surround yourself with other people, they're going to be like, oh, well, then maybe you should just quit. You don't want to like, don't like, We don't want to surround ourselves with those people. Like, they don't get it. You want, like, the people who do get it are going to be like, no, Lynn, keep going. That means you're close. That means you're close. You want people that are going to tell you that, not people that are like, oh, well, maybe you should just be a doctor then. Like, that's not going to serve you, right?
Yeah.
And the other piece is you just have to choose it, right? So like I said, so for me, I'm ready for like the next, like I had a huge breakthrough in my glass ceiling recently. And so I'm ready for that next bit. So now, woohoo! Yeah. So now I'm like, and like all myself, like, you know, and it's embarrassing because I'm the self-love queen, right? But like all my self-love stuff is coming up. All my confidence stuff is coming up. But I was like, no, you know what? My next launch is going to be successful. I'm deciding it. And I think a lot of times we don't make that decision first. And then we just do all this work. And then we kind of feel like we're pushing this boulder up a hill. And we're like, oh, like this work sucks, you know, or I don't want to do this anymore. But it's oftentimes because we haven't decided at the beginning that it's going to be successful, or that I am going to crush this, or I'm going to succeed no matter what, or I'm going to have an amazing time no matter what, or like I'm going to have fun with this. I remember that was one of the decisions that I made with one of my last projects. Like I created a 44 card self-love oracle deck, and I knew that it could potentially be a grueling experience and like full of roadblocks. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to choose that. I'm going to choose that this is going to be the most fun, most creative, most yummy journey. And it was. And did I encounter roadblocks and did I encounter self-confidence issues? Yes. But because I decided at the beginning that it's going to be fun and I'm going to love it, that was the predominant thing, you know? Yeah. So it sounds really simple, but like I would venture to guess that you or any of you watching this, if you were struggling through something, it's because you didn't stop to decide what it was going to look like. Like, I'm going to have fun. It's going to be successful. I'm going to kill it, period. No other options.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, I didn't decide because I didn't think that I could make it. And then I was like wishy-washy. I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I like hit roadblock and I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. Never mind. I was just going to go back. It's so true. That's crazy. I didn't even realize that. It's just like
So
small.
simple though, right? Yeah. And even with every little thing, right? Like, let's say, you know, you're having an interview for a new job, right? Any of you watching, and like you're nervous about the interview and you really want to kill it. It's like you have to decide even before going in that room, like, I'm going to kill this interview.
Yeah.
And if I don't kill it, or if it doesn't work out, I'm also deciding then that means it wasn't for me, and that I'm deciding that it has nothing to do with my self-worth.
Wow.
Right. So it's just like, we just have to make these decisions before, or like, let's say you're really nervous about a phone call or a date with a new guy or whatever, right? You're like, I'm going to have fun. That's the other thing too, with my single clients, and we talk about dating. I was like, have you decided to have fun with dating, or have you decided that it's difficult and that dating apps suck? And they're like, I've decided that it's difficult and that dating apps suck. And I'm like, yeah. Well, what if you decide that dating apps are awesome and that dating is going to be fun? And I remember for me too, when I was like really struggling with dating, and I switched and I was like, you know what? Dating is going to be fun and sexy and exciting. And I'm going to meet all kinds of guys. I'm going to meet amazing ones. I might also meet some really crappy ones, but you know what? That's going to be funny. And those are going to be funny stories that I can tell my girlfriends. Like, no matter what, this is going to be fun. This is going to be an amazing experience. And I did, and I had an amazing whirlwind dating experience. Yeah, I had some crappy guys, but it didn't drag me down because I decided at the beginning that it was going to be amazing.
Yeah. No, I think
it's really powerful. Yeah.
It really is just like the intention of you walking in before you even start, right? Like, I've talked to many people, and our girlfriends, we talk about dating all the time. And I see the difference between all of the one that I talk to, the one that have so much fun is because they decided that it's going to be a fun journey for them. And then the one that always have, or not always, but like, you know, so like oftentimes have trouble with it is the one that coming in with the mentality that like is not going to work for them. Then they're already give up, like they already like lose the battle, you know, to begin with.
They're basically just doing the work, but like with the intention that it's our like losing the
Yep.
battle.
Yep. Yeah. You're setting yourself up for failure. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I didn't even realize we're running way out of time. I am so sorry to take up your time.
It's lots of juicy content for y'all.
Amazing, amazing. I can't wait for people to see this. So thank you so much, Amelia. And I know you have a free gift for the audience. So please
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah, absolutely. So it's a gorgeous 22-page self-love activation guide for love and relationships. The title, it says for singles, but actually I work with couples as well, and I've had them download and read through the PDF, and it's helpful for them. And because what it covers are the 5 deceptions that are getting in the way of the love life you desire. And these are the 5 deceptions that I've just kind of come up with after, like, I've been doing this work for a long time, but I've been studying relationships and love since I was a little girl. Like it's part of my DNA to like really be curious and want to know how people work. And I've read so many relationship books, masculine and feminine energy, all of that. And what I've seen in like my 30 plus years of studying this is it really distills down to 5 deceptions that get in the way. And in all the work that I've done with clients, like, and even when I talk to people about their relationship issues, I'm like, oh, that's deception number 2. Deception number 4. Oh, that's deception number 1. So it always fits into one of these deceptions. And so this guide will really take you, 1, through the deception, what it's all about and how it shows up in your life. 2, the antidote or the medicine to overcome that deception. 3, there will be like a case study or a story from someone that I worked with personally and how they got over that deception. And some exercises in there as well. So it's this beautiful guide, and it also has my story in there. But it's really inspirational, and I know I've gotten so many messages about it of people saying like, wow, you transformed my dating life just from this guide alone. So I'm very excited to offer it to those of you watching. But yeah, click the link and download it. And whenever you get the email, you can always reply to that email, and that comes to me. So like if you have any questions about it, or anything, you can always reach me that way as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it. I'm going to download it myself after this.
Yeah. It's so good.
We did it. Amazing.
I worked really hard on it. It took me a long time to like put, like, it's really amazing, and I put a lot of heart and soul into it, and I'm very proud of it. And I know it's helped a lot of people. Yeah.
She comes in with confidence. Thank you so much, Amelia, for coming on to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for tuning in.
Of course.